Today on Doing Whatever, we're going to make a tapered planter stand, so stay tuned and check it out. So just to kind of walk through how I laid out each of these sides. So you're going to want to start with a straight line that's perpendicular to the edge that you're working from. And that's going to be your line that you can pull all your dimensions from. So then for this particular side, it's going to be, the top is going to be 13 inches wide. And I like to mark the center point too, just so I can double check after the fact. So that's going to be 6.5. And then if I come off that same line up here, know that this is my edge on top, and then here's my center line. And then I'm gonna come in to give it that tapered edge. So I'm gonna come in 1.5 inches from each side. So on this side, it's gonna be 1.5 inch mark. And then on this side, it's gonna be at the 11.5 mark. I can connect these lines. And on this one, it's going to be the end of this straight edge or this straight line that you started with. And there's my taper right there. So I can come back and I can double check from this center point that I got about the same. So I got 5 and I should have 5 on this side, which I do. Then on this one, again, just a nice double check, but I got 6.5 on each side. I started making these cuts with a circular saw and a straight edge, but I wasn't happy with the amount of chip out I was getting. Then I tried using masking tape to prevent the chip out, but I still was getting some. Then it was on to the third option. So this is just another way to cut out the tapers. What I have here is my table saw sled, and I've removed the back fence, which is laying right there, because it's not big enough otherwise. These are 2-foot pieces, 2 foot tall. So what I can do here is I'm going to line up the edge on that cutting edge right there. So I can line that up. And then I'm going to kind of eyeball up there where I think it's going to come in contact with the blade. So it looks pretty good. And then I can slide this piece in here just until it hits, and then clamp it down out here. That way I have 2 contact points. I have this contact point on the back fence and this contact point right here. And so this piece isn't gonna shift on me while I'm trying to cut it. So let's go ahead and do that. This is the fun part where all the pieces come together and it actually starts looking like a tapered planter box. So we're going to use some glue along the edges and then tack nail it together with some brad nails. And this first corner is the trickiest to try to hold everything together and then glue it, nail it together. But once you get the first brad nail in, it gets a little bit easier. So we're gonna try to get these edges in the face of the 2 pieces as flush as possible. Let's clean up here. So now we got those 2 sides together, we can wipe off any extra glue and then kind of just repeat the process going around the whole thing. So then again, we can line up the edge in the face. And then for a little added strength, I like to put a couple screws in each side. So I'm gonna pre-drill it and countersink it, and then drive the screw in. All right, so I want the planter that's gonna sit inside of this to the top of that to be flush with the rest of this planter box that I'm building. So I've marked out that distance. The lip of the other planter is about 1 inch. So I've marked that distance here around the entire top. Now I'm just going to add these little strips in here. I'm going to glue them and brad nail them on. And those are just going to provide that lip for the planter that sits inside this box to rest on these. And again, the brad nails are just mainly going to hold it in place while the glue sets up, and then the glue is going to do most of the heavy lifting. There we have the top. So now we're done with the lip around the top. Now we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Now the bottom lips are going to hold up another piece that's going to go across here and act as the bottom. Now what this is for is I want to put some bricks or some blocks in the bottom of this to give it some weight so that when the wind picks up, it doesn't tip these over. Since it's going to be already a little bit top heavy with the planter sitting in there, I kind of want to counteract that with some blocks in the bottom. So first we got to draw the line just to give us a reference for all those strips go. Now the last piece for this box is to cut out the bottom, so let's do that. So now the planter box is assembled and we can make it smooth. I'm going to use some body filler to do that and just mix up a little bit and fill in some of these screw holes, some of the nail holes, and any edges and seams that weren't quite lined up correctly. Oh, did I mention I made 3 of them? Now you could definitely use wood filler for this, but I just got a lot of Bondo on hand, so I might as well use it up. I'm gonna be painting this box anyways, so the color doesn't really matter anyways. So, here we go. Okay, so now that the body filler has cured, we're gonna go ahead and sand it smooth. I'm gonna use my sander, and I believe I have on a 60 grit sandpaper on there. And I'm definitely gonna put on my dust mask because this stuff is pretty bad for you. So let's go ahead and do that. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button while you're at it. That way you're notified every time I release a new video. If you want to make a planter stand for yourself, I'll have a link in the description box below for downloadable plans. As always, thanks for watching.